Hello, my name is Matthew, and I've had more bookish conversations this week than I've had all year with people, and that is thanks to everyone that answered my call for Zoom conversations, and it's been terrific. It has also made me think about what we talk about when we talk about books. What are our expectations? What are the goals? What do we like to hear? What do we like to tell people in conversation about the books that we're reading? Um, just some examples. Like the first thing that might come to mind is that we want to know in any conversation about a book whether or not it's good. Did somebody, the person telling you, did they like the book or did they hate the book? But that's only a small part, and if that's the only part, a relatively unsatisfying conclusion to any bookish conversation. We want all of the other multifaceted parts that makes literature great and makes literary conversation great. So, if you're talking about a book, do you like to know the story? Do you want to know what's happening? What's driving the plot? Are you more interested in specific characters, character development, how well rounded they are, or emotional connections, how um, how you empathize, sympathize with the characters? Is it on that level? Um, is it stylistic invention? Do you like to talk about the quality of the writing? How um, the, the, the language serves the story, whether it's inventive or direct, crystal clear or obtuse, things like that. Um, or the types of books, or are there certain books that you prefer to talk about than other books? Um, or is there any corollary between the books that you like to read and the books that you like to talk about? Is there a connection there? Um, in conversation, do you prefer to talk about books that you've already read or books that you haven't read? If you're talking to someone who hasn't read a book, do you have a goal of convincing them to read a book? One of my favorite things when I'm reading a book is the moment you realize that you know somebody that is going to love it. And the ultimate is if that person isn't a reader. And you get to have a conversation where if all the stars align, you get to convince a person that isn't really interested in reading to pick up a book. And at the end of all that, they love it. There's no better feeling than that. But again, that's only one aspect of a bookish conversation. Um, do you like to listen to people tell you about books that you've never read before? Do you prefer to be on the same ground and have a more in-depth conversation, maybe a contentious conversation? Disagree about certain plot points, historical context. If you're talking about a book, do you um, find that it's important to know um, how it is situated in time? Do you want to know when it was written? Does it really matter who it was written by? Um, where it was written? The culture, if it's a French book or Portuguese, written in Portuguese or German or English or French or whatever. Uh, can you just hear about a book and be totally blind to all of those things? So how much of everything around the actual book? I know for me, I normally don't bring it up. Um, I can tell somebody about a book and not even mention that it's French, though there's usually clues if it's written by Baudelaire or something, but you know what I mean. I don't say this was written in 1890, maybe generalities and things like that, but um, what else? I guess at the end of the day, one of the reasons that I love talking about books is it gives me a sense of fellowship after a solitary experience or solitary activity. And all of the things that I just mentioned, they all are aspects that add up to a bookish conversation. But I'm kind of curious, do you have preferences, or there's certain things that you always want to know about? And it can depend on the book, of course. When I'm reading the life of Samuel Johnson, it's not a page turner in the sense that Dune is a page turner. You don't read Samuel Johnson and ask yourself what's going to happen next, and so that dictates how you talk about it. But it's just a really interesting thought, and for whatever reason, as soon as this popped into my head, I had a barrage of questions like that, and I thought I would just throw everything on the table. And it's one of the best things in the world to talk about books, but I kind of wonder, what do you mean when you talk about books? What are the things that you love? So, if you're if you're interested, leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. What's important to you in your conversations? What do you like to listen to? What do you like to talk about? What do you say? So leave a comment if you would like. I'd love to hear. So thank you for watching.